Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mainstream Mondays here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with.
John Ward.
Why did you go slow on that name? Did you forget it for a second?
I'm in slow motion.
Does this have something to do with the Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It? Or Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, no part 3 in this
Oh, you mean the film where 90% of the movie never happened?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, and I love how it says based on the true story, but it says that in every single Conjuring movie, or whatever. It's
Well, and it also says it's their most sinister case yet. Every single time it's the most sinister case
Oh,
yet.
I
So
didn't know that was every single time. I didn't realize that. That's
yeah,
funny.
every time. Yeah,
Oh,
it says that. So yeah, because
oh,
I sent you all those videos. Did you have a chance to watch any of
I
them?
did not. I finished this literally like 15 minutes before we were supposed to start because it
So
got
I did. I watched all the videos and more. So I
I
am
did, okay,
very
I did do
fluent in
some
this.
research into this, and I found out what I found out. And so then you can fill me on all the details and stuff because if you probably learned more about everything than I did. But what I found out was that okay, so the first stuff with like David, and everything, apparently uh the little kid or whatever, um that sort of happened, kind of happened. There apparently was some old man at the house or whatever, like the demon, I guess, was. I I'm so confused. So was the old man supposed to be a ghost or something, or not in not in the movie, but in the real life situation? Did you hear much about the real life stuff?
That's all I heard was old man. What
Yeah, so it was an
was
old man
yeah.
talking to David, and then he would like talk back to the old man, but nobody would see him, that kind of thing. So it looked like he's talking to himself, and he would talk in Latin, which he didn't, he was a kid. He shouldn't know Latin, and everything. It's a dead language or whatever, the dead language of it. So anyway, he ended up going into uh he ended up getting possessed by the demon. And then the stuff with Arnie, I guess, happened. Like he asked he asked the demon to come into him, instead of take me or whatever, and then the ghost the demon took him, and then but it the kennel thing was real, but apparently they were having a party and it was night, so it wasn't like daytime, I don't think.
Yeah, there's the murder happened like 4 months later.
Right.
That's one of the things that they were really kind of looking at is, well, you're saying that this possession happened, but it was 4 months ago. So how can you really use that as an excuse? And
Right.
that the three of them, the girlfriend, Arnie, and then the guy who gets killed, I guess would party a lot and would get drunk a lot, and they would hang out a lot. They were kind of like troublemakers, and which is why if the guy who got killed is anything like he is in the movie, I'm fucking glad.
Yeah,
What
you did
an
tell me like that was
utter
your least favorite character.
waste. I hate him. I hate people like that. I this is an absolute utter waste of life. This
Well, the guy was
he
apparently the
was,
landlord. He wasn't just like the friend. He was like the landlord, is
well,
what I
he
read.
owned the kennel,
Right.
and which doesn't make sense to me in the movie, that he's like, why aren't these dogs shutting up? And he's just kind of like fucking around while
Yeah, they kind of made
the
his character,
girlfriend.
which I felt like, because the dude's dead, you know? And it's kind of disrespectful to like change his character to be sort of this asshole character, you know?
Well, unless he was that, you,
Yeah,
you know, unless, I mean, it's everything that was done in the movie with that character led me to go, I would have killed him
right.
if I was in that situation. everything he was doing, getting drunk, falling on the ground, slamming the beer and having it like, jet up like a volcano, him grabbing everybody, him like forcing the guy to drink when he's
Well,
already saying, I
and
don't
also
feel well,
apparently they had the girl's cousin there too, and he was like grabbing on her, but they don't show that in the
which is
movie.
not in the movie.
That's not in the
Yeah,
movie,
that's
which
that
was
was well, yeah, the girlfriend was the substitute for the
right.
sister, yeah, like
Yeah,
the little girl. So
yeah,
so there's a lot of stuff that was changed, and I'm not buying that this guy owns, at least in the movie, that he owns this giant ass house, and he's got this kennel, and he's drunk all the time,
yeah.
and the girlfriend is basically running it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just not buying any of this stuff. I'm like, no, this doesn't sound right. It because one of the videos I sent you was like film versus real life, or like Hollywood versus real life.
Right,
And from what it said is allegedly like the that possession thing happened. And
right,
but once again, the Warrens were more there. They weren't like in your picture. That's not like what they were doing.
right.
They were just giving, advice. Like they were advisors.
They were advisors. They weren't actually doing like an exorcism or anything. I don't
Right.
think.
And the and then the stuff with Arnie is that no, like, yeah, he was a troublemaker, but he was overall a good guy. And that the stabbing happened like 4 months later, and he basically, between the Warrens, the lawyers, and all that stuff, is they're like, okay, we'll say it's demons. Demons got in him. That's what it is, demons.
Right.
And because he was actually the very first case
In
in the
America.
in America to use the demon thing in court.
Yeah, because in the UK, apparently they've done it twice, is what they said in the movie. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
Yeah, that I'm
um,
not sure about. I know in
yeah.
America they say that, and that is correct. And basically, it's that's what I'm saying. 90% of this movie didn't happen because they went in with the demon defense, and the judge is like, yeah, don't buy it. Like 30 to 40 years in prison, and that was pretty much it. And he ended up going to prison.
Yeah, for but he got but what I didn't like is the whole, oh, we're gonna put the death penalty on in the movie when apparently I don't think that was actually even a thing, because they ended up, I mean, he ended up only getting since 10 to 20 years or something like that, and he ended up only serving 5, of his
Yeah,
sentence.
for good behavior.
Yeah,
And
which
then they actually, on the disc, they interview the girlfriend and Artie.
so you get to see him, Arnie. You get to see
Yeah,
Arnie.
yeah.
But he looked kind of weird. Like I saw pictures of him. He does not look like the
He looks
good-looking normal guy that
he just looks like a guy, just like a
yeah.
guy. You could see him working on like a construction site or something like that. But they say, that the possession thing and with David and all of that happened, that it was all real.
Well, they're saying
And
that for the Conjuring making of, thing. They're not gonna go, well, none of this was real. None of this
right.
happened,
Well, yeah, yeah.
right? So of course they're gonna say that, but I heard that David, the little boy, and his brother, which brother? He had a brother? In real life, he had a brother. And the brother and him got really upset because David got all this like attention on him because of all this stuff that didn't actually happen. He said like what happened was he was, I think he was like making it up or something, or he's had like an active imagination and stuff. And they were like, and the Warrens just used that as hold on, I found a yes, I found an amazing story. What they didn't show, okay? This is what they said in the thing. So, um, Naturally, a good proportion of those viewers have since been looking to find out as much as possible about the real-life case that inspired the events of the film, and just how many liberties the horror flick took from the truth. The case in question is the trial of Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, a man who was convicted of manslaughter in Connecticut in 1981, becoming the first person to ever claim a defense of demonic possession during a murder trial. That case quickly became the known as the Devil Made Me Do It case. Hence the film's title with subtitle with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren drafted to advise, although you might expect the judge was not particularly interested in such a fantastical defense. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga once again take the role of the Warrens in the third film of the horror franchise. If you want a spoiler-free overview of the film, you can check it out here. The Conjuring 3 is inspired by the trial of 19-year-old Arnie Johnson, who was charged with the murdering of his landlord, Alan Bono. Wasn't Bruno, as he is in the movie.
Yeah, they mention in one of the things that they did change his name, and it could have been for legal reasons.
Yeah, it probably was. In February 1981, during the trial, the defendant gained infamy for becoming the first person to claim a defense of demonic possession in the United States court. Although perhaps unsurprisingly, this version of events was not accepted by the judge. His defense rested on the testimony given by the family of his fiancée, Debbie Glatzel. Debbie's 11-year-old brother had reportedly been subject to demonic possession in the months prior to the murder, with his parents having grown increasingly worried by a number of unexplained and ominous events. The story really starts in July 1980 when the 11-year-old David Glatzel was helping Johnson clean up the Connecticut rental property he was prepping to move so he could move in. But while there, David claimed to have come across a burnt and black-looking old man who he claimed pushed him into a waterbed, saying he would bring them harm if they moved into the house. When David returned home, he continued to see the old man. He described him as having a white beard, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. David claimed the man's skin was charred as if he had been burnt too. The young boy experienced night terrors and woke up with bruises and scratches on his body. He'd wake up screaming and tell his parents he'd seen the sunken features of the old man like an animal with horns, pointy ears, and jagged teeth. Let's see. The family said that they also heard unexplained noises coming from their attic. Ed Warren said he heard banging and growling sounds coming from their basement, that he also saw a rocking chair moving on its own. Maybe they didn't do that because it's been done a million times. In the Conjuring universe, we talk about that all the time. Rocking chairs. They have an obsession with rocking. You'd think that if they were something that's in the research, they would be like, hey, let's put another rocking chair in there. I do love that they mention Annabelle in this movie. Let's talk about that in a little bit. Ed Warren said that he heard Bing Believer. Ed claimed David's toy dinosaur also walked on its own. Lorraine also claimed she saw a black mist appear next to David while her husband interviewed him. David's mother, Judy, had previously claimed it was a ghost, but the Warrens rejected this idea, saying it was an indicator of a demon. Okay, so kind of skipped ahead, right? And I want to go to my favorite part, which talks about where are the Glatzels and the Johnsons now. Johnson married Debbie Glatzel while he was in prison. He also got and they mentioned that in the movie, I think, right? He also got his high school diploma while inside. The pair went on to have 2 children. Lorraine Warren went on to write the book Devil in Connecticut with Gerald Brittle, detailing the case, and they shared the profits from the sales with the Glatzel family. David's brother, Carl Glatzel, did not speak out against the book when it was, or did speak out against the book when it was republished in 2006, saying it was a complete lie and that the Warrens concocted a phony story about demons in an attempt to get rich and famous at our expense. Carl claimed that the Warrens told the family they'd be millionaires. It was later confirmed that they were paid $2,000. Carl also says David was suffering with his mental health at the time, but he recovered. In 2007, David and Carl filed a lawsuit against Brittle and the Warrens for unspecified financial damages. They sued the authors and publishers for violating their privacy, libel, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Brill claims the book is based on fact, and he interviewed the Glatzel family for more than 100 hours, and he has video of Lorraine. Warren also said that the 6 priests who performed exorcisms on Glatzel agreed that he was possessed. Debbie Glatzel and Arnie Johnson have always backed the account about the possession, hence you know, them being on the video. But David's father denies his son was possessed. How the movie tackles such a complicated case and how closely they stick to real events remains to be seen. Um, so there was a couple things. The Katie and Jessica sub story with them going looking for that, for those people did not happen. None of that happened. I don't think neither did that father involving the cult stuff. None of that. That's all just
Oh yeah,
fabrication from
the
Conjuring.
oh yeah. Disciples of the Ram and all that stuff did not happen. The totems did not happen. It was pretty much the same way that I kind of look at Amityville is you get the Warrens to say that the house is haunted. You're trying to keep Ronnie DeFeo off death row. And then then the same type of thing here is you make up this thing about the kid being possessed, and then the judge doesn't buy it
Mm-hmm.
and sends him to jail. I mean, it sounds pretty cut and dry. We're going to try this scam that doesn't work, and then the guy ends up
Still,
going to prison,
so
to
do you think
Amityville
he
prison.
agreed with this stuff and then said, well, he must have agreed after he'd already killed the guy. Maybe he killed the guy because he was angry that the guy was touching his girlfriend or whatever, just being obnoxious or, whatnot. Here's the funny thing. Um, when you drink, right? When you drink alcohol and you drink a lot of it, you can black out, wake up, and you've done something that you regret. Sometimes you sleep with somebody that you're not happy with sleeping with, that you never normally wouldn't have had you not been under the influence of alcohol. Sometimes you wake up and you're in a car accident. Sometimes you wake up and you've murdered somebody, you know.
Right.
That literally could be, and people could claim that was a possession in some way because you're not in your normal faculties when you're doing that, right? Now, you should still be you should still be convicted for murder. You've murdered that person. You knowingly imbibed alcohol knowing that it could cause that issue. It's you can't uh and this might cause some issues, but Bill Cosby can't claim giving, like, what I mean? Like he knows what he's doing when he's doing these things. People know what can happen when they drink alcohol. They could black out and they could murder somebody. So, but I don't know if he was drunk or blacked out, or if he was completely of mind and you know and he was. I don't think he was possessed, honestly.
No, not at
Um,
all. No, I mean, he
no.
stabbed the guy 22 times.
Yeah, they only show a couple, thank God, but they
Well,
show
it
him
it it
going.
cuts away from it. We
Yeah.
we get then we hear like the girlfriend scream, and then
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 he's
the news
walking.
report. Yeah.
Then he's walking down the street or whatever, and the cop pulls him over, and goes, "I think I did something bad." Um, where I'm like,
Which is actually, I kind of like that scene a little.
I did too.
I like the reveal. It's only a reveal for us, for the audience. Like it's one of those things where the cop probably should have just stopped right there,
Right.
and then got the gun out with all the blood on him. But it's a reveal for us.
Yeah.
So okay, whatever.
Yeah. And I didn't mind that. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I did not hate this movie,
No,
at
I
all.
don't hate it. I just think that it's so when I was watching whatever I could, like the behind the scenes and all that, James Wan and the director said we don't want to do another haunted house movie.
Right.
So they said we found this case and it's more of a mystery. So
It's
they
a
have
little
to
different.
solve a mystery.
Scooby-Doo.
So yeah, and
Which one's Velma?
maybe the daughter. I don't know.
Daughter,
Maybe
Jinkies.
Jinkies. And please, we will not discuss Velma, and because that's a whole other video. But the they talk about that it is going into a different direction. They talk about how the film was test screened and did horribly,
Hmm.
and that they had to reshoot some of the film. So the occultist, who's the woman that's doing everything, she has an origin story that's completely cut out. And behind the scenes, you could see a couple little bits of it. There's no deleted scenes on this. So I had to look on YouTube for them. And they do show shots of like Lorraine with her hair up, but then
Hmm.
in the movie, the hair's down. They show the occultist when she's like first starting out, she's going to cut the neck of a goat. And
Ooh.
even in the behind the scenes, you do see her looking normal, but she is holding the goat, which is not in the movie.
Well,
There's
thank
like a
God. I don't want
ton.
somebody killing a goat.
The demon that's in it is supposed to be the same demon that like the nun is, like that same type of thing.
What?
And
Why?
it's not Valak, but it's like the same type of demon, and
Oh,
they
same
cut the
type. Oh,
demon
I was gonna say I don't
completely
want it
out.
Valak again. God, let's get
Well,
over
it was
Valak.
a it's like a big they showed a drawing of it. It's like a big black demon with horns, and the guy
Well, the
who's
thing in
in
here, the guy said the kid claimed there was horns or whatever,
so maybe they were going
supposedly.
off that and they decided not to. The guy that's in the prison when Arnie is in there, when he's like mopping the floor and like that kind of like hospital area,
Hmm.
there's a guy that pops up and starts talking. He was the demon.
Okay.
And James Wan felt so bad that they cut his scenes, that they just cut the demon completely out, is they had him do be like a prisoner who's in like the little
Oh.
hospital there.
Oh, so he's one of the guys that like attacked Arnie, right? Or whatever, right?
He's like one of the guys sleeping, and then he kind of pops up in bed and he starts talking to Arnie. Like he starts
Oh,
saying
okay.
something weird.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a ton of shit missing. They show there we go. Hold on. There we go. That scene that's on your picture,
Okay.
that's a girl. That's a little girl who's a contortionist. There's
Ah.
that's and they put the dots on the boy's face. So he did whatever he could. And then no, I'm sorry, I take that back. They put the dots on the girl's face and then they CGI'd on the boy's face.
Oh, okay.
So the boy did as much as he could, and then she came in and did all that. So that scene of her twisting like a pretzel
That's pretty cool though.
is real.
Okay.
That's not CGI.
Well, that looked great. I liked it.
Yeah, and they
Especially when
showed
his head comes up and he's like, ah! like that
yeah
shit
the
was pretty dope. I don't know. I liked it.
yeah they just showed some stuff of her just doing contortioning. It's like, oh my god, and she's like this
I think
little kid.
it's funny because I hadn't seen it in at least since it first came out on HBO Max. By the way, I'm fucking mad. This happened again. And I have this theory now. And it's not a like conspiracy theory or anything, but it's like a theory that HBO Max, because they are trying to go into HBO Discovery, you know, become that new thing, they are getting rid of everything, right? So every month they're just getting rid of all their um, stuff. They're barely putting new stuff in there, and they're just getting rid of all their movies and from their library. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It got gone on the 20th, right? It is now today the 23rd. And I was not able to watch it on HBO Max. I had to rent it on Amazon Prime in order to fucking watch the movie. I got really
Jeez.
upset because it was out of nowhere that I mean they're just but remember this happened for one of the other stuff like Ursula Lorona was on it, now it's gone, all those things. I had to freaking rent these movies because they're just deleting all of their stuff. So all the Conjuring universe is going to be gone, but everything's going to be gone. I have this theory because I've heard that they're trying to do was it Warner Brothers Discovery Max or whatever they're going to do. So they're going to have a new a whole new thing that's going to combine them. It's probably going to cost more because it's more stuff, you know, and everything. And or maybe it'll start out low, and then they'll gradually work up like Disney Plus did, you know. But anyway, that's the point is that I wasn't able to watch it on that. I could watch on Amazon Prime. And I was happy to see it, period, you know. So, you know,
It doesn't
well
make
worth it.
sense for them to take off a popular series like this, especially since I would imagine they know that part four is coming out, and you would
Well, the
think that
part
they
four is
would.
not coming yet. Well, Insidious part five is
No,
coming out.
Insidious is part five, but yeah, The Conjuring four. We talked about that.
But it's not, it's only in development. That's not coming out till probably 24, 25.
Right, but it's still coming out. So
But
why
Nun
would
2 is coming out, and that's going to
none
be,
two?
you
So why
know,
why remove a popular
I
franchise?
think it's because they're removing everything. I think they're literally removing all of it, and they're just doing it little by little, and then eventually they're going to have all of it gone. But then by the time it's all gone, they'll have a new platform that they'll put everything in. That's my
Well, then
opinion.
people will just leave. They'll just you know.
I'm Yeah, I won't have to because we have HBO here, and HBO, you get HBO Max for free for some reason if you have HBO. So don't ask me why, but I'm happy about that. I'm okay with that.
Well,
So
I mean, I have I have HBO Max, but it's
but if
yeah,
everything starts going, yeah, you might want to get rid of it. I don't know. And I'm urging people to like find out what's going on because like this is kind of messed up. Like this is I just saw if you look up like what's leaving HBO Max in the specific month, there's a lot that's going, you know.
well, Zaslav is he's looking at um viewership, because things are now done in views. So when they talk about something like Lord of the Rings from Amazon, or um what is it, Dragons or whatever it is on HBO,
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons, then Dragons or Dragon, House of
House of
Dragon,
Dragons.
Dragons. These things are now looked at as views. So it's, you could say now that it's like, oh yeah, well, the first episode of House of Dragons got 1 million views. That's what they go off of.
Well, which is weird because I don't know how they make money off of that, you know. Like how do they make money off of views?
I don't know how it all works. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why a lot of these places have commercials in their
Right.
stuff.
Like
But it's
YouTube even, like how you make your money off of YouTube is you become a monetary, you know, business on YouTube or whatever, but you have to have like certain amount of stuff and everything. And then they ads will run and sometimes 20 ads will run. You watch Red Letter Media and you're like, oh God, there's like three or four ads. And that's like, most of the time you can just skip them. So it's not that big of a problem on YouTube. But like Tubi, oh God, there's like
well,
six
that's how
ads
they make
per
their bread
like,
and
yeah.
butter.
It's
Yeah,
how they
they
make
don't
their
make
bread,
their.
but for free, you know. But they're
But
not
then that's also how the people make money, because I make money off of Tubi. I don't make a lot of it because they're short films.
right.
So if they were feature films, I'd be making a lot more.
Right.
But it's Zaslav is just, he's looking at stuff saying this is not going to make money. Like he basically got rid of all the stuff that deals with like gay shows and trans shows, and all that stuff is gone. It's just gone. He's just like, yep, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. And they did. And a lot of the superhero stuff is going to
Well, that kind of
go.
sucks though, because like, I mean, is he just saying that the LGBTQ community isn't supporting the movies or something, or there's
I
not
guess
enough,
so. If
not
they're
enough
if they're
views on it?
not, yeah.
I mean, that
There were reports
sucks.
where he got rid of certain movies that had been on there for years, and then the actors were complaining because they were getting residual checks, and now they're not getting them anymore because he removed them. So the actors are still getting residual checks because the movie was on HBO. Not that people were watching it, but they were still getting a check for it, I guess, each month because it was on the platform. And he's like, that doesn't work for me. Get rid of it. Nobody's watched it in 2 years. Why are these people still getting paid?
Mm-hmm.
And so the actors are just like, whoa, wait a minute,
It was
no.
really funny. I think Tusk is on HBO Max, if I'm correct, the Kevin Smith movie. And Kevin Smith had said in a in like a Q&A thing online that he had didn't even know it was on there, because some of those people just don't they just put it, they like A24 will go to HBO. They have like deal with like HBO Max and Showtime, right? Or and Amazon. And they're like, "Do you want this, this, this?" Right? And whatever. And I guess HBO Max is like, "I want Tusk because it's fucked up." I don't know, whatever. And then so they don't tell the A24 doesn't contact Kevin Smith and say, "Hey, we got your movie here, on HBO Max." So somebody on Twitter tweeted like, "I'm watching that Kevin Smith's movie Tusk on HBO Max, blah blah blah." And he read that tweet, and because he reads every tweet, by the way, he's very good at like keeping up with his fans and shit, which is awesome. Uh, and he what is it? He had said like he was excited, so he went and watched the movie on HBO Max in his hotel room that he was at, and got high and watched his his movie. And I think that's it's fun to know that. I don't know how long Tusk will stay on HBO Max. I think if HBO Max is getting rid of everything, it'll get rid of everything eventually, and then they'll probably bring him back. Because The Conjuring and all that, that's their stuff. That's Warner Brothers.
If it's Warner Brothers and it's a continuing franchise, then they should leave it on.
I know, that's what
It's
I'm
it,
thinking too.
it's
Like,
it
are they going to
doesn't,
get rid of Are they going to get rid of all the shows too, like Entourage? And
if it's not getting watched, yeah, they'll eventually get rid of it because all those people
I
are getting
swear they're
paid.
creating a new HBO Max type digital thing because they want to include Discovery, and for some reason they couldn't make the deal with HBO Max and put Discovery into HBO Max.
The one of the problems is that Warner Brothers lied and they're in debt, like serious money. And Zaslav, from what I understand, did not know that.
Well,
So
maybe
that's
that's
one
why
of the
they're getting rid
reasons
of HBO
why
Max too.
it's one of the reasons
Yeah, so
is that's why Batgirl isn't coming out. That's why a lot of this stuff is not working out, is because it's just right now Warner's is in debt. They're like
well,
seriously in the red. But if you
that's
have something
why
like
they hired David Zaslav and you know them to come in, Discovery to come in and
I mean,
basically fix it.
he's a double-edged sword because he's getting rid of good stuff, but yet he's keeping people like Ezra Miller and firing, you know,
I still
Superman.
I don't know that for a fact yet because there's not been a confirmation that Ezra Miller is going to stay with the new DC studios. There's no actual confirmation from James Gunn yet. Now, you can't say there's rumors and there's these people saying all these things. True, but there's no actual confirmation that that's if once he says that though, once James Gunn or Warner Brothers or whoever DC Studios admits Ezra Miller will continue to be the Flash, I will totally leave like DC. I will not support them whatsoever. I'm that hardcore against Ezra Miller, like to the point where I just I don't want any toxic uh people to be able to get you know to get that stuff when they've got other people who aren't toxic, like Henry Cavill, who could
Well, but from
should
what
be
I
part of it.
but from what I've understood is James Gunn finds him to be a problem.
Who?
One, Henry
Henry?
Cavill.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that he says that one, it's that he dated Gina Carano, who's
Ooh.
a
Yeah,
conservative,
that's a big
and
problem with
that
DC.
yeah, and that he is difficult to work with. And what people have come to the conclusion of with James Gunn saying that is that he is that Henry is for the fans. That which is why he left The Witcher. So if he's going to be Superman, he wants to try to stick to Superman
Also,
as close as
here I heard he
possible.
left The Witcher because The Witcher was going in a direction that was not the way that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
video game was.
His dream was to play that character in The Witcher. He said, "I will stay onto the show as long as you stick to the books."
Right.
And the writing staff is incredibly woke and laughed at the source material, showed it no respect, gave other parts to basically other people, and left him in the background.
Hmm.
And that's why he said, I'm quitting. A lot of people think he quit because of Superman.
Right.
Well, no,
Right.
that wasn't the case.
I mean,
Superman actually came
that was a
later.
good thing to possibly go into, right? Once you get once you leave a show, you want to go into something else, right? You don't want to just be like floating around for a little bit, then go to something else. However, he did end up basically, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the new Black Adam movie or whatever, haven't heard the news, but just anyway, spoiler, close your ears. Um,
I don't think anybody cares.
I don't think anybody cares. I'm just saying that so I don't get any fucking comments like, God damn it, didn't see Black Adam yet. Um, at the end of Black Adam, you saw it, so whatever. Henry Cavill shows up as Superman. So there was the idea of introducing him back into the world, and James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. Peter Safran of the Conjuring series, by the way, one of the big producers of the Conjuring series, is now, they're running DC. And I honestly think, and I think we might have talked about it on the superhero show. I don't think we did as much as we should have, maybe. But we talked way too much. There was too much going on in that show. It's like almost 3 hours long. But the thing with Peter Safran and James Gunn is that they are sort of, I mean, I don't know. I think James is a big DC fan. He was into the comics and everything, and he wants to kind of do it very Marvel like. That's why they changed the name from DCEU to DC Studios. And it's just the DCU now.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like we're getting way off track here.
I'm just saying, I know you're not a big, you're kind of in the middle on everything on that, and I'm pushing.
I just do one thing and continue with it. I don't like Marvel, but I give them props for you could watch Iron Man and continue going through that, and you get one complete story up to whatever the last Marvel movie was,
Right.
or the TV shows. It's consistent. Um, but DC isn't, and
Yeah.
I'm just getting tired of it. I'm 55. I don't want to be 65 when like they finally get their shit together. All these guys are going to be dead. By the time that this stuff really gets going.
Oh, I understand. So let's go back to the Conjuring universe so that we can go
So,
right back. Because we go off topic, but
well, we do, and that's all anybody say. That's I think is just a mistake that Zavalov seems to be all over the board,
mm,
and it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And it's I don't know if you have something like the Batman movies or Superman, I would think that you would want to keep those because those are
hmm
Warner properties. If you have the Conjuring universe, you would want to keep those,
yeah.
especially if they're
Just
making
TV
sequels.
shows, you'd want to keep those because they made those specifically for HBO, Project Greenlight, Entourage, you'd want to keep those because even if they're not being watched right now, years later, people may be like, "Hey, I want to watch Entourage again,"
But see, but that's the problem. Is years later. That's why he's doing this. Is if nobody's watching Entourage right now, and everybody on Entourage is still getting paid, then HBO is losing money.
That's true. But
So
they
they
have
have
so
to,
many shows. I mean, yeah, damn, that
like one
sucks.
of the big complaints I heard, and then I'll get back to Conjuring, is he canceled the first half of Sesame Street. So all the episodes of Sesame Street were able, you were able to watch them, and then he like canceled like the first half.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, I don't know if kids want to go back and really watch Kermit as a sock puppet, but you're kind of deleting history. But then, of course, if nobody's watching Sesame Street from the 1970s,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, they're
I mean, it would be kind of cool, I guess. It's like an archive, of history. So I don't know. As far as the Conjuring goes, yeah, they should have left it on there. But then again, if nobody's watching Conjuring, the devil maybe do it because they just don't like it, you know, and they'll want to watch Conjuring 1. But I would say that they should make deals like Conjuring 2 is on Netflix. Why not make a deal with Netflix? Like you guys can have deal all this stuff and you just pay us for, you know.
a lot of what from what I understand originally is a lot of that stuff like when HBO Max didn't exist and all their stuff went on to Netflix is they signed contracts, 10 years or whatever it is. And then once HBO Max was made, I mean, Marvel went through that. Star Wars went through that.
Hmm.
Um, is you have to wait until those contracts expire, and then you could take Conjuring 2 and then put it onto HBO Max. But it's if you're coming out with The Nun 2 and Conjuring 4, I mean, even Insidious 5 or whatever, you might get a renewed interest. So, like you said, maybe they'll bring this stuff back. But I almost think that they should just shut shit down, rework everything, and then just come back with a whole new streaming service.
That's what I think they're doing. I think they're doing that.
But don't
So,
slowly do it. I mean, it would suck if let's say you are watching Entourage and you're like, oh, and I'm just gonna make up a number. Oh wow, Entourage has 6 seasons. Wow, okay, I'm on season 2. It's gonna take me, probably the rest of this year to watch the whole series, and then the next thing you know, half of it's missing,
right.
and you're like, well, I just wasted all my time.
Well, it's just like us. I was trying to watch The Conjuring 3 and then they took it off. So now it's gone. I was like, what the hell? I
But then a
was
lot of these places do that. Like Netflix removes stuff all the time. I was very lucky on one day before they were going to take it off is about the West Memphis 3, and I was so happy to see that because I got to see, and I don't know if you know what that is, but
I heard of
it's
it, yeah.
yeah, the Paradise Lost documentaries of the 3 kids that have been in jail or prison for killing kids that they didn't do. And I was very lucky to see that because I didn't know if they were out of jail or not. I guess I could look it up, but I guess they got out of jail something like 2001, and they'd been in there for like 15 years for murders that they didn't do. I literally was just going through documentaries on Netflix, and I'm like, what is this? And I looked and it says will be removed, and the date was like the next day. I'm like, oh fuck, I want to watch this, and then it was gone. So
Yeah, Jackie, my former roommate Jackie and I were talking about it. She's watched every documentary on fucking Netflix, and I would suggest something to her. She'd be like, I already saw that. I was like, God damn it. You know,
yeah,
like,
you just have to watch this stuff. And
mm,
like even Netflix has, like, I saw that I think they had like Family Guy and American Dad, and
mm.
I'm like, oh cool, I'll watch it. It's the first season and that's it.
They did that. They did that with a lot of fucking channels and shit. Fucking Paramount Plus will do that occasionally, and I'll even complain on Twitter, and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, that's all we have," or whatever. But hopefully, you know,
That's why people sail the high seas, and they get their stuff not in the most legal way because they, you know,
I know,
they get a
and then
VPN
they
and
get
all that.
mad when people are pirating their shit. Well, put all your shit out then, like let people see it, you know,
Yeah.
or don't. I don't know. I just saw like Night Court was on that Freevee channel and stuff, the original Night Court, all the seasons of it, and I think that's pretty cool. Freevee's awesome, just like Tubi, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw that they had some stuff in there I'm interested in. So, but
hmm,
I do want to get to some stuff before we go. So, like with Conjuring 3. So, but the one thing that I liked and it annoyed me at the same time was the old man's. Well, one, I love that it was in like that mill, and I
right,
love that they could walk downstairs, and he basically has the exact same thing that the Warrens have.
right, yeah.
So
I thought that was kind of cool too. It was almost
yeah,
like his own little museum.
but yet Lorraine at the top of the stairs is like, I don't want to go down there. You have the same thing. And then she gets into the museum and goes, you should burn all this. Didn't you tell a reporter before not to burn everything because then the spirits and all that shit get loose?
Right.
You know, it's like it's stuff like that
So
that I
it
don't.
contradicts itself sometimes,
Yeah, like why? I think that they would be fascinated with this stuff, and I think that that could be a cool spinoff. You know, if you have like the Warrens doing more of the, I guess, kind of like ghostly type stuff, and then you would have this old man as maybe like we see him younger,
when he was
like
younger,
just
because you can't
yeah,
anymore, you know.
yeah, just make him younger, and then he's collecting all of these things, but it's darker. It's more of the dark side of like the Conjuring, while
That's
you know
cool.
the Warrens do kind of like Warren Light or Conjuring Light. He could do more Conjuring Dark,
I
and you
re
could spin it off with him.
well, I remember hearing at one point that there was some guy who sued the Conjuring people and sued Warner Brothers because
That was me.
they yeah, you told me about this?
Yeah, yeah. When the Conjuring came out and made a shitload of money, he sued Warner Brothers. He sued James Wan. He sued a few other people.
Because he was planning to make a movie
Well, TV
similar,
show.
a TV show, and it was going to be like Friday the 13th.
All that
Uh,
was from me. You know, it's funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that I
I
just watched
forgot.
that one
You know what?
today.
That was a while ago that
Yeah, and I just
you know.
watched that episode today because it came up today. But
Oh,
yeah, it was called The Warren Tapes, and it was supposed to be a TV show, like yeah, like Friday the 13th, the series, where in each episode they had like the cursed item,
right.
and they settled out of court.
Yep.
But so, which to me means, yeah, he probably did own the rights.
You did own the rights probably to the Warrens, or whatever. Because he
Yeah,
probably did at one point. The Warrens probably were like, 'cause to go back to like Marvel thing, Marvel did that too, where they at one point just kind of gave their shit to everybody, sold their shit ideas and stuff and things. And so I think that's probably what the Warrens did was like they were like, oh, we'll take any money that anybody throws at us right now because, like who the hell, because at that time beforehand, nobody probably was thinking about let's make an actual series like The Conjuring, and then they eventually, I
right.
guess, did that. And then they were like, "Oh shit, these people want it." And then they're like, "Wait a minute, you already gave us your rights and stuff, so let's, go after them."
Yeah, and this is the first film where I think that they didn't exactly know what truly to do because it really did feel like an X-Files episode to me. Also, stuff was very predictable, you know, with like Ed forgetting to take his heart pills with him. I mean, granted, they don't hide it. I mean, the camera goes right to the pills as he's going out the door. But I'm just like, really? Is he like at some point could have like a heart attack? You know, because
Yeah.
he didn't take his pills, which seems
And then he
very
had like he had a moment, and then he said, "Oh, I left my pills," and his wife
yeah,
later has the pills in her fucking locket,
yeah.
and
And
shit. That was kind of
well, which
sweet.
shows that she only cares about him one time because that locket could have held like three or four more pills just in case.
I know,
But
but I think
you
she
know,
only thought she only needed one. I guess I don't know.
but that was just so I don't know predictable to me with that type of stuff. Oh, she'll have it. I didn't like any of the gazebo stuff. because I liked it simple in Conjuring 2. You know, I'm a freak. People made fun of me. I then met somebody who thought I wasn't a freak. Oh, what did you do? I married him. And it's sweet and it's nice when the girl goes in and talks to Ed. And then she replies, "You married her." That's all I think we need to know. I don't think we need to, because as one of these videos I watched pointed out, some of the stuff in this is not correct. Like in the flashback, the movie that they're seeing, which I think was The Three Musketeers, actually hadn't come out then.
Yep.
It came out later. So I don't know how somebody could screw that up.
That's a
Also,
continuity.
yeah, and then when Ed does have the heart attack, and the doctor says we had to put a shunt in there, somebody pointed out that shunts were made in 72, but they weren't being used until like 82.
Okay.
And this was 81. So unless Ed was maybe the very first person to get a shunt, so there's little things like that. I didn't.
I don't know. See, I don't know how. Well, maybe a lot of that also could have happened with the remakes, the redoings of it, and stuff. Like they might have when they had to go back and reshoot stuff, they just weren't paying attention to specific stuff because they were just trying to get it done, you know?
Well,
Because
yeah. Well, one thing they couldn't get around, if you notice, Elaine has something wrapped up that has like a bandage wrapped around her hand.
mhm,
How did she get that?
I don't remember that. No.
Because we never see it.
Yeah.
Because they reshot it. But what they basically think that people would believe is, oh, she got it when she fell off the cliff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then she wrapped her hand up, but it isn't. It's actually from something else. It's from a cut scene. And so they just said, oh, fuck it, we'll just leave it in because there's nothing we can do about it. We got to reshoot everything then.
Yeah.
And even her like falling off the cliff and dangling, I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah, that
You know,
didn't feel okay. Yeah,
it
that
felt
felt like a little,
Hitchcock to me.
yeah, it didn't. And him catching her, come on now. Like, who is he? Fucking James Bond? Like,
Yeah,
you
it felt a
know,
little North by Northwest
yeah,
type of thing. You know,
I
it's
agree.
that's
It
why I
was,
think this one feels more Hollywood than any of them. I mean, it's like they were really, like it was like a two-part, because and another guy pointed out, so when she's in the sheriff's station and the sheriff doesn't really believe them that she could do these things, and he puts the knives down and he
mm-hmm.
says one of the knives was used in that murder, the other ones I just pulled out of the evidence file. The guy points out, he stills the picture and kind of zooms in and he goes, right there on that one, it says like 1981. The other one says like 1972. The other one says like 1975.
Oh,
So it's like, of
so
course she can figure it out if she just has to look at the dates. And oh, it's this one.
why would they even do that? Why would they even put that like
Because they
on
probably
there?
think that nobody would, like the audience wouldn't even think about it. But then you got people out there who are worse than you and I who actually go, wait a minute, let me zoom in on that and I'm going to look at that date. And because they pictured the book that they use in that scene that's on your picture there that the priest has, that he
Mm-hmm.
has opened, the guy did the still, and it was very clear it has nothing to do with exorcisms.
Yeah.
It's just a
Wow.
page in the, like they just turned to any page in the Bible, and they figured it would be fast enough that people wouldn't notice that it has nothing to do with the Bible or nothing to do with exorcisms.
I mean, technically, yeah, you're right. And you know what? I mean, that's movie making anyway, so that doesn't bother me at all. When they do that, because like, I mean, I guess it would have been cool if they did turn to the page that had an exorcism or something, like,
I would have.
toss. Yeah, I
That's
mean, you might as well
I'm
because,
anal
why
about
not?
that type of stuff.
Well,
I would have like a production assistant, like, okay, here's the Bible. You need to go Google where exorcisms are in the Bible
yeah,
and bring up
and
an
there
image.
are because I've had to do that too. I've had to actually Google which exorcisms, and we do it in my movie, my short film, The Locked Room, which you can watch on YouTube if you guys want to.
Oh, there you
I'll
go.
put a link down here, so you guys can
I
check that.
didn't even know it was on YouTube. There, okay.
Yeah, there's a short film called The Locked Room, and It's my only demon possession type thing. And it was fun. It was fun because I actually did some research and I looked up exorcisms, like, kind of do it yourself exorcisms, and people, laid out real life quotes from the Bible that people use in exorcism. So I did one, and then I have my friend Matthew, who's a fantastic actor. He was on a Fox Kids show years ago called Galador, Defenders of the Outer Realm or something like that. But he came in there and did this amazing, like reading of for the exorcism that I adore. So it's actually one of my favorite shorts I've ever produced because I had fun with it, and I actually didn't think it was going to turn out great. I was all worried. So I feel like the ones I don't think are going to be that great end up better than I expected, kind of thing, you
Okay.
know.
All right.
Anyway,
Well, no, I'll check it out myself. So yeah.
yeah, it's fun. But that's the thing, when you do watch a movie about exorcisms or demons or whatever, you got to do your research, and you got to, I mean, it's not very hard, you know. Like, just look up exorcisms online, go to that page, have it be that, flip it over there, because why not? You know? Like,
Well, as one of these people pointed out in one of these videos, is there is a difference between inspired by and based on.
right,
So I think their stuff should probably say inspired.
right, not
Because
based.
yeah, because especially this one, since it was pretty cut and dry of what was going on, and
Yeah, only
none
the
of
only the
was
Arnie killing the guy and some of the David stuff in the beginning. The beginning basically is all sort of maybe real, or whatever, or at least what they claim to be real and everything. The rest is all fake and shit.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
it's all
because it
because really you can't make a movie out of a movie about a court case had that's it. That's pretty much it.
well, and some people brought up like, why didn't we see the court case? Like it ends with him going to court.
Right.
And so we never saw it. I mean, granted, the stuff that you texted me, I think those lines are funny. The Annabelle line and then the Elvis lines, I think, are funny. I didn't want to comment on it because I wanted to comment here, and I would be curious to find out what that lawyer saw with Annabelle. I mean, if they're
That would
you,
have been cool, right? Like,
I
because they
mean,
just cut away to it, and I'm like, cut
but
away from it.
her reaction is funny because she saw something bad. But once again, why would the Warrens do that? So what did they do? Lock her in the room, open up Annabelle's, box, do your thing, Annabelle. And then 10 minutes later, they come back and the chick's got like solid white hair or something. And, she's terrified. I mean, what did they do to make her have
To
that sort of
convince
reaction?
her that
Yeah,
there's a
it
possession
is
thing.
pretty funny. And then the
But she
Elvis thing
does
is
talk,
funny
like,
too.
right after that. She says, like, I might believe this stuff, but it's gonna be hard to convince a jury who doesn't believe in possession that this is, you know what I mean? And she's absolutely right. I mean, this was sort of a cut and dry case of, like, the dude killed somebody, but he's now claiming he was he was under the influence of a demon, you know, and everything. And
Yes, I do believe that demon is called alcohol.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I guess anytime anybody blacks out and then kills somebody, they can say, alcohol made me do it, and everything. But the problem is, unlike well, that he should be convicted of the murder because he allowed the demon into him. He said, "Take me." So him, doing that, he's the murderer, even if the demon was the one who did it. He allowed the demon inside him, just like if you're allowed to drink alcohol.
Well, yeah, in the
He
same
had
way
his
when
consent.
well, yeah, because in the same way that when a mother drowns her children in a lake and she goes, God told me to. So I found, so I did what God told me to.
Yeah, well,
Either
I mean, still,
either
God doesn't like, even if God told you to do it, the law tells you you can't do it, you
no,
know?
but you do put your hand on a Bible. So
I
obviously
did like that
the
line. I really like that line that they said is like, if God, if they believe in God because they say you know, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God, in the court, then they have to believe in the devil.
right.
They have to accept the devil because they're already accepting a supernatural being.
Well, and that's where I've actually said, and I know it's, and I say it sarcastically, but it's where I've said, if a mother does drown her kids in a car and says God told me to do it, you why aren't you believing her? I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody says, well, the devil told me to go shoot those people in a bar, why aren't you believing them? I mean, they shouldn't go to jail then. If God or the devil told them to do it,
Well,
then it should be acceptable.
here's my thing. Why hasn't anybody ever gone to like the Supreme? Maybe they have, so I could be wrong. But why hasn't anybody gone to the Supreme Court or so, or whoever it is that's in charge of all the courts? I'm guessing that's the Supreme Court, right? But go to like the big thing and say, you need to get rid of, the last part about so help me God.
because they're
Because
because they're all Christians.
in the courts?
Yeah, the Supreme Court was Trump filled them with Christians. That's why Roe v. Wade got removed.
Okay, yeah.
So they're all like diehard Christians. So that type of
So then
stuff
they should
will,
all believe that the devil they should have believed in demon
yeah.
possessions. They should, this should, if anybody goes and says, I was possessed by the devil and that's why I went and killed like 20 people, then they can be
They
like, oh my God, you're right. Oh man.
they should believe it, or at least say you have to prove it. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we believe God and the devil exists, so you just now have to prove that the devil told
Yeah, that
you
was that
to
was
go
the
do
thing
that.
with this case is like I guess he can prove that the demon, because like we hear later that the demon sort of left him because he was doing he was reading the Bible and he was all fine. So the demon, I guess, comes and goes, and stuff, which is weird to me a little bit. Like, because, okay, so
Well,
in the show Supernatural, you've seen it, right?
like one episode.
Okay. Well, when they have demons, demons are just black smoke that come into somebody's, goes through somebody's mouth and then possesses them, right? That's how, but the demons, when they leave, they just, you can see the black smoke just disappear and everything. This, you can't see anything. It's almost like that movie Fallen, where the guy's, Denzel Washington's chasing after somebody and
Yeah,
you
it's just
don't know who the
going from
person
person to
is.
person. Yeah,
Right. And you don't know who the person is because it could be anybody, which that movie scares me a lot more than a lot of
that's a
movies
creepy
do.
movie. Yeah,
It
that's a creepy
is. It's
film.
a terrifying
Well,
movie.
one of the things is that in this is Elaine mentions the demon, that the demon was summoned. It wasn't like always here.
Hmm.
That's the black demon with the horns that they cut out. So that whole subplot of the demon is missing.
Yeah, it does
So
feel
it
like
does, yeah, it
something's
doesn't make
missing with that.
sense. Also, if you notice well, you wouldn't notice because you haven't seen it, but the table that the occultist is using,
Hmm.
what did they call it?
Alter?
The altar is very different looking than what it is in the behind the scenes of the stuff that got cut. So a good portion of this movie was redone. And so a lot of the stuff that they talk about isn't in the movie. One of the
Right.
scenes that annoys the fuck out of me is in the prison, and when Arnie is like in that one again, for some he seems to be a lot in that hospital area. One, I don't think they would allow his girlfriend to be in there.
Mm.
I not at all.
Oh,
And
are you
she's
talking
just
about when he's like actually having the exorcism happening?
going through the whole thing, and the glass is exploding everywhere, and you could see like the cops in the background, like on the phone. It's like, I what?
Yeah,
I mean, if we want to talk
that
about
didn't make
shit
any
that never
sense.
happened, but it's like, what are the cops doing?
Yeah.
So if this is real and it did happen according to the film, because it's based on true events, why haven't we heard anything about those police that were in that back room? Why
Because
haven't we
none of
heard from the
that happened. None of
priest?
that happened. I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
90% of it didn't happen. Only like 10% of it happened. Only if it even happened, you know. Like I believe more along the lines of what the David and his brother Carl, who you never see whatsoever, and I did not know that David had a fucking brother in real life.
I
Um,
didn't know
he
till you just said
probably
it.
didn't. He did not agree to this, but they probably paid David something, for conjuring the devil made me do it because he was a big part of the case. You can't, right? You can't have David without, or whatever. You can't make this movie without that that part. The Carl was probably like, fuck you, you guys, like you guys ruined my life, man. Now people think like my brother's crazy and shit and saw like fucking demons and shit when he didn't. Because I do believe that the Warrens, who were very known for doing sort of like not like they're scams, they're sort of scam
Oh yeah.
artists, very known for doing that.
Oh,
They
they wrote a
probably
lot
did.
of books too.
I
They got a
know.
ton of books. They
And
one of the videos they showed like 12 of them.
it's crazy. And then what they would do is they would, I mean, probably pay people, $2,000 or whatever. Can I use the rights to this fake story? Kind of like let's make it up. Let's get you, everybody wins, kind of thing. And I mean, I don't hate on the Warrens, I think what I mean, if anything, they are famous, for, being was a psycho paranormal investigators or whatever. I forgot that there's a clinical term for parapsychologists or whatever, which
Demonologist is what they're.
demonologists, that's
Yeah.
that's the other one that they're known for being. And I'm like, I
Well,
mean,
but you also have to think, what did all these people get out of this? They really didn't get anything. The Warrens became famous. I don't even know if the Warrens were rich, but they definitely became famous and were on TV and stuff like that. But what did the other people get out of this? You know,
I don't
when
know.
when I was talking to Daniel Fernards, that he brought that up, is that he's like, he talked about George Lutz, and he's just like, what did George get out of this? What did Kathy get out of it? They weren't rich. They
Well,
what would
yeah.
they get out of, if they didn't believe it was real, or if it didn't happen, what did they get? So what did the family in the original Conjuring get out of this? Nothing, probably. So why are they still talking about it? Conjuring 2, same thing. And now this. You got the real Arnie and the real
I mean, the
girlfriend
only
or
thing I can think
wife.
is fame. Like, literally, people know who they are just because of these movies.
Well, they know now, but what about after it happened? Maybe they got a little bit of press, but why continue with it? Did after the press, after they got their 15 minutes, did the family from the first Conjuring movie be like, yeah, we know it didn't happen, nobody's coming around anymore? And then all of a sudden, maybe a paranormal person would come by for a book,
Right.
and they'd be like, oh,
Or
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
might come to go and say, "Can I investigate your house?" Oh, well, pay us
Well, and
ten to
because of
five
the
thousand
Conjuring,
dollars.
maybe once
Yeah.
again it's brought up, but none of these people are rich.
Right.
So if they're lying and saying it did happen when it didn't, what did they really gain from it?
Mm.
And I thought about that from what Daniel said, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, you know, why would you lie about stuff still to this day when you're not
Does
getting anything
Daniel,
from
did
it?
you ask if he believed in this stuff? Like, did he believe in any ghosts or any of the stuff like
He
that? Or
does.
he
He
does?
does. He does. He talks a lot about, because we talk about a whole thing with Amityville, because and for people out there who don't know who he is, he's the guy who wrote Halloween 6. He also did the Amityville Murders, The Haunting of Sharon Tate, and some other movies. But for the documentaries that he worked on the Amityville Horror is George, primarily George and Kathy got together for the first time in 20 years
Oh wow.
to talk about the case. And he said that when he would go over to George's house, if you even mention the house, like the Amityville house to him, he'd go pale white.
It's
So,
funny because I read that Lorraine Warren hated or like was scared to death of the Amityville. Like she said that was the most terrifying place that she's ever been in.
but
So,
see, I don't know. It's like, okay, so that, yeah, but she said that in front of a camera.
right. I, you know,
So I don't, and that's what Daniel brought up is what did George get out of this whole thing? Like, what did he get out of still telling people to the day he died that it all happened? Like the book was
what did he get out of it?
exaggerated, and the movie was exaggerated, but he and his family did experience stuff, but he didn't get anything. I mean, he got like maybe for the Lutz family 30 minutes worth of fame.
Yeah.
you
Damn.
know so I don't know, it kind of made me think a little different. I still don't believe this stuff happened. I still don't believe the Conjuring stuff happened. I don't know.
So
I
I
wasn't
know
there.
you are an atheist. You don't believe in
Yes.
God. You don't believe in thing. But are you an atheist that kind of might go into the agnostic at all? Like say you've said this before. If somehow or another God came down right to you right now and he said, John Ward, you must believe in me. And you're like, oh, right? And then you look up and you're like, oh my God. Then you'd be like, wait, if there is a God, then you've been kind of being an asshole to us, you know? You haven't been stepping
Yeah.
into these wars. You haven't been doing this. And if God's just like, well, fuck you, I created, I let you guys have your own, things. I only step in when I really feel like I need to step in and
Well, then
and
you're a
and
dick, dude. Then you're a dick. If I finally, if God did come down to me, like let's say there was the rapture, and it's like, oh shit, this is real, and God came down, and
the
I would
exorcism of Jonah Hill.
acknowledge, yeah, I would then I would acknowledge God's existence, but I would not believe in anything that he teaches. I would not
Well, he
believe in
doesn't
any of
teach.
that stuff.
Jesus taught everything. God
Jesus
didn't.
is God. God is
I
Jesus.
no, he's the son of God.
He's part of the Trinity.
He's part of the Trinity
God,
of.
Jesus, and the Holy Ghost are all the same thing.
I don't think they're the same thing.
They're the same
I never,
thing.
never thought that.
They're the
I always
holy
thought they were,
trilogy.
they
God
are
is
the
Jesus
Trinity,
and
but
Jesus is God. Yeah.
there is there are three, and from what I've understood, there are three seats, in the throne room. There's God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All three sit together. So I've always have pictured them as three different beings, not one, just one immaculate being. And because I always view there's Jesus, who's a man, it was a man, and then he, later, whatever, and then there was, so I don't believe that
Well,
there's
look,
just one person,
but
one thing.
it is, but that's what they, well, one, I don't believe that they exist, but it's that's what it is. That's the Holy Trinity. They're all one thing. They're all, it is a triangle of one thing. It's Jesus is God, God is
Could you
Jesus, and
imagine
then the Holy Spirit is.
if you walked into like heaven and you were like, "Hey, can I see God?" And they're like, "Okay, sure." You go to see God. God's a triangle, just a big, huge triangle with eyes. I was like, "Hey,
He's
how you
actually
doing?"
Indian, so he's got all the
No, don't do
Indian stuff.
that. Don't do that because that's a whole Hindu thing. Yeah, we don't want
Hey,
to.
you don't know, God could be Hindu. You have no idea. Remember, there's thousands of religions out there,
There
and you just
are,
hope that
and
you pick the
who
right
knows.
one.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
when you do it, you have to put all your eggs in one basket. You can't be like, I think all religions are whatever because I guess you could. You
when
could
when
be
when
like,
when somebody goes to heaven, they better be sure that they pick the right one,
right.
because if there's 1,000 religions and I don't believe in all 1,000 of them, and you're a Christian, that means that you're an atheist to 999 religions. So you better make sure that God is Christian and that he's not Indian, that he's not Muslim, that
Wait,
he's,
but see,
know,
some of the other religions don't send you to hell or whatever. You'll just, I guess, I don't know. Something else will happen to you if you don't believe in
better
their
make sure he's not
religion.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh
You go to
God.
Xenu.
Uh, Xenu.
So,
Xenu.
yeah.
All right.
But but
Anywho.
that's why I kind of, to circle back to, like, our video here, that's why this type of stuff wouldn't, I could go into a haunted house and it would never affect me. I
Mm-hmm.
could sleep in a museum. I mean, I could sleep in a graveyard and it would never affect me. So the stuff with, like, the Conjuring and Insidious and even stuff like Sinister and all that stuff, it would never affect me because I don't believe in it.
Right.
It just wouldn't. And I forget what it was. I forget what I was watching. It might have been one of the Insidious films where they say that it's the person that doesn't believe is the most susceptible. Am I saying that right? Susceptible to,
Susceptible, yeah.
yeah, to, like, the demon. And I'm like, well, that's not true, because if you don't believe in something, how can it affect you? It doesn't. It's if you believe and you're weak, then it could affect you.
Maybe. I don't know.
So,
I don't know. I've never been attacked by a demon.
and the thing is, with all these
Thank
movies and
that's
everything,
not
they
where the fuck's wood.
oh God.
Sorry, I'm trying to
So
knock on wood.
with all these movies, it doesn't help me to want to believe in demons and ghosts and spirits and all that type of stuff, because it's so fake.
Right.
And this is 90% fake. So, okay, once again, I'm not believing in it. I
Well,
believe in
even
the
if you
real
don't believe in
case,
it, I
sure.
mean, for these movies, they're sort of just fun, you
Oh
know?
yeah, as far as movies go,
Right.
they're fine. I enjoy them quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't think these are
But
stuff you're gonna show to your, Christian religion class or something or whatever, like or this isn't going to be some kind of thing for one of those classes where they're going to be like you need to watch this because this is the way that demon, whatever, you know what I mean? Like they probably watch The Exorcist before they'd watch any of the Conjuring movies. Um, as far as like, what things
but
are
that's the one
more
that
like.
makes them, I have a friend, and if and I've been told, do not say demon around him because he will freak out,
He
because he's
doesn't
a
like the word
Christian. He
demon.
has, yeah,
Um,
he freaks out. He has the cross, and he doesn't,
You know
and
what? It's funny. The Exorcist, I used to be terrified of that movie just because of the Ouija board scene, even when I was a kid. For some reason, all the Ouija board scenes. And obviously now I know that a lot of it was wires or whatever, and it's all music and it's all, this stuff. But when I was a kid, man, I mean, I completely believed in everything that I believed in Easter Bunny, I believed in Santa Claus, I believed in demons, and sort of, I guess when you get to be older, you start realizing that some of this stuff may be fake and some of it, or like, well, some of it definitely is fake. Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. Sorry, unless you're, Hollywood, it's whatever. But then you watch movies like, or you watch stuff about demons, and you're like, and for me, as a Christian slash, you know, sort of, I like to believe that there's paranormal and supernatural stuff out there because it just makes life more fun to me, you know?
life is
And
fun for me, and I don't believe any of that stuff. That's,
but
so
see,
it's
I
it's
get fun with it. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. Like I know my house is not haunted. It was we are on Indian burial ground because we live in Jamestown. So, and we have a pet cemetery in our backyard.
it's
Just
spelt wrong, but it says Pet Cemetery.
yeah, but it doesn't but none of the pets have come back
You're
to life as far as I know.
you're
Never
going
seen that
to
happen. So,
cat.
but I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery.
That's right.
I don't want
I
to
don't
live
want
my
to come
life.
back to life again.
I don't want
Yeah,
to live my life again. Nope.
yeah. I just don't. I find this stuff to be entertaining from time to time. It's a little creepy,
Yeah.
but as far as Paranormal Activity goes and all that stuff, don't. I just
So
don't.
you always said this was the worst, this is like the worst movie or whatever in the series or something. At least I felt like you thought that. Um,
I mean, I think it's the weakest of all the movies. I
I
don't
don't
know. I
think
mean,
so.
it's it's really
I will say I like this better than The Nun and better than Curse of La Llorona. Yeah.
my God, not at all. At least those
Mm.
felt like Conjuring movies.
Well, no, because like for me, this was sort of like a different, you know, aside from the ledge and the cliff scene
And the
or
caverns
the
and
caverns, that was fun.
Ed
I
becoming
enjoyed that.
possessed and
I liked Ed being possessed. You haven't seen that yet. That never happened, but you hadn't seen that yet, you
I
know.
just don't think it's just I think the stuff with the old man with his own museum is much more interesting than the case itself.
Right. I mean, they could have done some more stuff with that. They did do a uh apparently a comic book based on The Conjuring made Devil Made Me Do It that's out. And it was just
Oh yeah,
an
well
extra.
yeah, we never mentioned the two girls. That's what the comic
Yeah,
book. It's
and
called The
so they have the
Lover.
whole comic book talk about the two girls, what happened
Yeah.
with them. And so it would be cool if they did like a Conjuring comic book where the more stories about the old man, stuff like that. You could do
I
that.
did like that with Lorraine. I liked kind of how she's like in the girl's place stabbing and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
liked all that.
I
I
like
don't I
that.
don't
I
hate the movie. I just think that it's out of the Conjuring films, the three Conjuring
No, no,
films, I
no.
think
Out of the three Conjuring
it's the
films, it's the weakest.
weakest.
Out of
And
the
out of the
Conjuring universe, I like it. I like it more than a few of the spin-offs, because I just
I
feel like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
more.
not me.
I don't know. I also once again I really love the Warrens and I enjoy watching them and I enjoy seeing what's going on. And this was so much Warrens, I feel like this was more Warrens than the other two Conjure. Maybe that's another reason you didn't like it too, because it was more Warrens
Well,
than
and
because the other
their
stuff was.
daughter grew. So she went
Yeah,
from older to young to older
yeah,
again.
yeah.
She flipped all around. I really I like the Warrens. I really do. That's why I like these
She was
movies.
tall,
And yeah,
the
she was very
daughter.
tall.
Oh,
But I think as far as the Warrens go, this is the weakest one.
I,
I think Conjuring 2, they were at their absolute best. And that goes with the directing, the writing, and all that. The Conjuring, because it's the first one, I think that they were still kind of like, no, what are we going to do here? But they still did a really good job. But with this one, I don't think we needed the flashbacks again.
right.
Well, we didn't get them again, but we didn't need to know about the past again because it still served really no purpose. I mean, at the end, when Ed's possessed, yeah, she goes, remember the gazebo. Why would they remember exactly the same thing? Like maybe Ed's most important time with her, his best memory was them taking a hike. It's very convenient
Well,
that that
I don't
she
know.
mentioned and I don't. Plus, when I'm seeing the gazebo, it just reminds me of Stephen King's The Dead Zone. That one of the
That
murders took
stuff didn't
place in the
bother
gazebo.
me. You're so mad about that ending, and I don't know. I like seeing him possessed. I like seeing her have to talk to him to get him out of that thing, and then him taking the sledgehammer or whatever it was and slamming
Yeah,
it down on the altar and destroying it and stuff. And because to me it was the symbol of like everything that sort of the two Warrens were, like they were of love, and I mean, all of the whole stuff was about them loving each other and all that stuff. Like it just did not bother me. I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
it so to go off of mine, and I've said this before in one of our videos, my Star Wars analogy that Conjuring is Star Wars, Conjuring 2 is The Empire Strikes Back, Conjuring 3 is Return of the Jedi. To me, everything that was done perfect in The Empire Strikes Back, like Han and Leia primarily, they then duplicated in Return of the Jedi. So in Empire, where Leia goes, I love you. And Han goes, I know. We all gushed. Like every single person in there was crying at that. And then when they did it again in Return of the Jedi, when Han goes, I love you. And Leia goes, I know. We all went, oh, oh, okay. They're just repeating it. So to me, this was the same thing. Everything that was done perfectly in Conjuring 2. They just repeated it in Conjuring 3, which and it just didn't hold up as well.
You say
It was
that,
like,
and
oh,
I love Return of the Jedi, so I don't know.
I love Return of the Jedi too, but it is the worst out of the three.
Oh, it is. It is. But I sort of have a different take on things because I like the first one second, first one first, second one second, and third one third, like in that series. Like I I think the first Star Wars is the best, A New Hope or whatever you want to call it, because
Well,
originally
you're
it was not
wrong
called The New
because my
Hope.
theory says otherwise, and my theory is scientific.
Your theory is your theory. That's fine.
It's a scientific theory that has been proven to be correct
It's proven to.
because it can be done with many movies.
No, well, I mean it's fine. You can have that theory. It's not my theory. You know what?
Just
You know what? I reject your hypothesis, sir.
how dare you?
Um,
How dare you?
anyway, I think we're on to the ending of our
Well, we are
show,
so
which
so. Well, let
so
me
look
do
at the
my
budget.
yeah. So this did make money. 39 million budget, and it made 206.4 million.
That's lower than but hold on. This is 2021, by the way. And remember, the theaters were terrible in 2021. They were just starting to come back, but they're still, I mean, even to this day, they're not nearly as, you know, as big as, well, unless you're Tom Cruise at Top Gun. But, like for movies like this, I mean, to get 206 million where it's still semi-COVID, that's not bad, you know, like you know what I mean? Like they were still having COVID issues,
Yeah,
and stuff.
so
So
okay, so The Conjuring budget was 20 million. Conjuring 2, the budget was 40 million. Wow, twice. And then or two times more. And then The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It was 39 million.
$1 million less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So worldwide, The Conjuring, and I'm just going to round up on these. So it made 320 million.
The first one.
Yeah. Conjuring 2 made 321 million.
Okay.
And then Conjuring 3 made 206 million.
So what was probably saying to the people there is like, okay, so it made basically 100 million less than, right? Than the last, or wait, yeah, I think that's right. 100 million less than the last two Conjuring movies, meaning it's sort of dropping off, you know. And so I'm gonna guess, my guess is that if they do the next Conjuring in the next couple years, it'll probably be less than $40 million. That budget wise, they'll probably try to keep it lower so that if they get it 206 million again, they would have saved some money or whatnot. And that's probably another reason why it hasn't been like announced really what they're doing with it, yet.
Yeah, I think that they need to be a little careful
Well,
because
they're gonna see
it's
what the Nun 2, makes probably and
yeah, and
stuff.
that was because they were doing basically like every year or like or every other year a
Actually, it was
film was
every
coming
year
out.
because
Well,
uh
no, because Conjuring was 2013, Annabelle 2014, but then Conjuring 2 was 2016. And then 2017 for Annabelle Creation, then 2018 for The Nun. So but they
it
had, and
became every year for a little bit, and
yeah, I
actually
mean,
once there was twice in one year, right?
yeah,
Like
which I think was the big problem is they did Curse of La Llorona, and that was April of 2019. And then in June, they came out with Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah.
So I think that was it was there was just too much. And then 2021 was The Conjuring 3. So I don't know. I think maybe people were just kind of tired of it after a while.
I don't blame them.
So I mean, yeah, I think doing that. I mean, they basically pulled a Halloween when, which is why Halloween 5 did so bad, is it was competing with Halloween 4, on video. And
Right.
and they even said, yeah, we should have waited 2 years, not 1 year. But these were released in the same year.
Yep.
So yeah, so we'll see what they have. Yeah, they got listed here. I'm looking at Wikipedia. They do list all the comic books. It's the Conjuring Lover comic books, I guess. There's 5 of them. And then there's tie-in media. It's called the 307 AM project. No idea what that is. There's 4 of those that look like maybe short films.
Nice.
Lawsuits. Here's the lawsuits.
Oh, like fan films or something?
They might be like contest films,
Ah.
because I know I downloaded them off of YouTube. Is maybe these are them, but they did a contest and there were like 4 or 5 short films. They're
Ah.
only like 3 or 4 minutes long. They're pretty short, but they were just done by fans, but it was a contest, so maybe those are them.
Maybe.
So yeah,
I think we are so we'll get into some stuff in a little bit, but I think we should do a ranking at some point of the Conjuring universe, like our favorites of everything, like we did with the Scream and whatnot of the Kevin Williamson stuff. I think it'd be pretty cool if we just said which ones we like the best, and stuff.
yeah, I think that could be okay. Oh, I'm looking here, The Nun 2. So it looks like they already got. So Sister Irene is back.
Yeah, she's been going to, well, no, the nun herself has been going to a lot of the horror conventions and stuff lately.
Yeah, she's listed as being back, the
Hmm.
nun, and then Frenchie is listed as being back. Same
What?
actor.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
What? Huh?
same actor, Frenchie.
Wait, I thought he was the one that. So is this going to be? So this is going to tie in with the stuff of him, being videotaped, and everything. I wonder.
Maybe, because it does show a different actor for the Conjuring version of him, and then it shows that actor, Jonas Blue Cot, or however you say his name. I don't know how you say his name, but it's the same actor who plays Frenchie from The Nun, is in The Nun 2. And that's it so far. So we got three actors for The Nun 2.
Yeah, I
Nothing
don't think
listed for Conjuring 4.
who was the guy that the other priest or whatever that was the other father who went with them
The Nun.
in the original Nun. I don't think he's coming back. He was big name too. I just can't remember who played him. Um
Is it Father Gordon?
uh
No, that's Conjuring and Conjuring
yeah,
2.
so Father Burke was played by Damien Bakir or whatever. He was in like a bunch of Quentin Tarantino movies, like The Hateful Eight, and I think he was in Django, if I'm correct. It's Machete Kills, so he's been in that
I don't even
world
see Father Burke listed on characters.
for the Nun 2. I'm talking about the
No,
Nun 1.
just characters in general. He's not listed. Here's Annabelle, Camila, Debbie, Mathis, Father Gordon, Annabelle Higgins, Pete Higgins, Sharon Higgins. I don't
What are
see
you
it.
looking at? You're not looking at
Wikipedia.
the Nun,
I'm looking at Wikipedia. The
but
Conjuring universe.
oh no, but he's in. Father Burke was the father in the Nun.
Okay. Like, I mean, he's not listed in what I'm looking at, so that's why I couldn't find him.
Yeah, I don't know
I mean,
why, but he's
as a character, he should be listed in here, but he's
yeah.
not.
You should. He was a big part of the Nun. Um, But
Let me
yeah,
see
that
if I
guy was in. That guy's been in a lot of Quentin Tarantino and Rodriguez and all that stuff. So good for him. Um,
let's let's see. Click on him. Film and yeah, just the Nun. That's it.
yep.
He's not listed for Nun too.
All right. So are we ready for our rating or anything or?
Yes.
All right. So I want to hear yours first.
Two. Two out of
Two?
five.
Wow,
Two.
two. Jesus. So you really did that.
I
You
I
did think
don't want
this
to
was the
watch the.
worst.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this again. It was like work watching it. I liked it a little bit more, but remember, watched it all the way through the first time, and then I watched it the second time. Well, I watched it all the way through on a bootleg, and then I watched it when I got it on DVD or Blu-ray, and I went, fuck it, and I just turned it off 30 minutes before it ended because I already knew how it ended and I wasn't liking it, and then I watched it this time,
We
and I
forget
watched it all the way through.
we forgot to mention they have that one scene that they have in every one of the movies where they're going tracking through the whole house and seeing everybody going and doing stuff or whatever and
Oh yeah,
you're following that typical thing which I almost felt like they might not do again but there were some really cool shots in the movie. I mean, directed wise it did feel once again like maybe James Wan
he
because
was
I think
there,
this is the same
and
director that did
La
Curse of La
Llorona.
Llorona. And remember, you were saying like, that guy would listen to James Wan. Maybe James did kind of say stuff like, "Hey, you should, shoot from up here and then pull down and whatever."
Yeah, there was behind the scenes stuff of him on set. So I don't know if he goes to all sets, or if it's just this guy's.
Probably
But
he
but
probably goes to
but
all
he
sets
was
and
definitely there. So
um.
I mean, it's his universe. So I mean, yeah, if he's if you, James Wan standing next to you and he's like, yeah, maybe you should go over the shoulder here. I would be like, okay, yeah, get that shot over the shoulder. I mean, he probably knows better than you do.
I'm gonna give it four. You're gonna hate me for that, but I'm gonna give it four. I enjoyed it. I had a fun
Why do
time.
I have to keep making these faces with you?
I don't
Why?
know because I don't know. I just enjoyed it. I had a fun time. It was I can't hate on this movie because it didn't bore me. It didn't sure it wasn't it was 90% fake. But when I watch a movie like this, I don't want it I don't believe any of it's real anyway.
But
So, I
maybe
mean,
they could have. Okay, so maybe this would have been a little more exorcism of Emily Rose, but show the kid, show then the Arnie, then the murder, and then the stuff with him in prison. Show the trial, show him losing the trial, and show like the lawyer working and they're working with the Warrens. Maybe that's the movie that we should have had, or at least maybe I would
well,
have
I mean,
liked.
I think
And then,
I don't
well,
know
wait,
how.
and then do Disciples of the Ram as a totally different movie because that really is its own thing. And then they could bring in the occultist.
I
Then they
don't
could bring in the dad.
I didn't
Then they
mind
could have,
any of that stuff.
you know,
I thought the
it's
totems were
just
fun. I thought the whole idea of the Satanist trick, I thought I don't know. I just honestly I thought it was and
felt like
then
two movies.
I it didn't feel like that to me. It felt like one big movie that had a lot going on, or
I think you've
whatever.
been brainwashed. I think that you've been
I don't
brainwashed.
know. I'm sorry. I
How
enjoyed
dare
it.
you have an independent opinion? How dare
No,
you?
seriously.
How dare you
Um,
think on your own?
well, it was Ryan George, the pitch meeting guy. Sadly,
Love
he
that
hasn't
guy.
done a fucking Conjuring. Well, I would love to see his pitches on these. He would probably agree with every single thing you say. But he was talking about how he was doing Google or whatever. As there was a skit about Google in 2022. And how at one point they went to Reddit, and one Reddit had a different, one user had a different opinion as the other Reddit user, and he was like, "Yep, you're never gonna find exactly what you're looking for without you know what I mean?" like because everybody has a different opinion, you know. So you just gotta,
Um,
in my opinion, you just gotta go out and check this out for yourself. If you like the first two Conjuring movies, you're probably gonna see the third one if you haven't seen it already. And if you, and hey, I liked it. I give it a thumbs up. In the worlds of
I give it like
Siskel
this.
and Ebert, I think you give it a thumbs down because, if you can only do a thumbs up or thumbs down, you give
Well,
it a
okay.
thumbs
How,
down.
how about like it's not this, but it's more like this. He did do a pitch meeting for the Nun, but that's the only one that shows up.
Yeah, that's what I found. So it's weird that he hasn't done any more. I actually even posted on Twitter, say tagging him saying, why hasn't he done Conjuring universe, the Conjuring ones? But I mean, whatever. Everybody, it'd be cool if he did, but at some point, 'cause then I think he goes back and does stuff, that he hasn't done yet. Um,
Yeah. Well, it looks like he also takes like people tell him, "Hey, can you do this?" And he sometimes he does it. So, but the Conjuring universe would seem to be simple because then he could do like a whole playlist of just
yeah,
those or
all of
do
those,
one
yeah.
long video like he's done. So,
Yeah, I like those. I like when he does all the Marvel movies and you can just watch them back to back to back to back, you know.
yeah.
Um, but anyway, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun and enjoyable, and I'm probably gonna get, chewed out for that shit because, a lot of people hated this movie, like literally hated, was angry at
Well,
this movie.
I like the Nun, and a lot of people hated that, and I liked La
Right.
Llorona, and people hated that.
I like
So,
those two. I mean, I just like this better. I just had more fun. I don't like it better than Conjuring 2, and I don't know if I like it better than Conjuring 1. I think this is the weakest of the Conjuring movies, but I like the Conjuring movies more than I like the spin-off movies, and stuff. So, I mean, um I like this better. I don't know. I think I like this about the same or close to the same as the like some of the Annabelle, except for the first Annabelle, which I feel is the weakest of all the Annabelles. That and Comes Home are kind of the weakest. But, you know, um, you know, whatever. I don't know. I enjoyed this, and I think I when I'm surprised they since it is, HBO Max centered too, like they could do HBO Max. They could have done an HBO Conjuring TV show with the Warrens, but I guess that would have been why do that when you can just make movies, or whatever for them, you know.
well, maybe when it's all over, and they don't want to play him anymore.
They'll
You
just
know,
get a new person, new couple to come in and play.
yeah, and just do like a Netflix series or yeah, HBO series or something like that.
That'd be cool, you know. 'Cause,
So,
I mean,
well, I mean, if you want to, I mean, maybe do just like a video that before we get into Insidious, where we could do a ranking,
mhm.
um, because there's I don't know if you want to watch those like short films on the Conjuring stuff.
You said those are fan films.
Well, they're contest fan films.
Yeah,
They're
I know I
not
wouldn't count them
they're
as.
it's not they're not part of the universe, but they are Warner Brothers. It's these are the
Yeah, they might own them because they, ask people
it's not like
to.
I went out and make an Annabelle movie. These are like actual films that people made for part of the contest, and it's what they submitted. So that I guess that's
Yeah,
what
but
it is.
that's
But
as if you were a part of a contest and you submitted and then you were part of the top five, you know, that got selected or whatever, you know.
yeah, or we could just do a video where we just talk about
I would just
them in
rather
order.
just a
So
ranking of all the real Conjuring. We can talk about those movies. I can check them out, but I'm just saying the ranking should be like directly, responsible to the Conjuring universe itself, like
oh
the
no
main.
no 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 no, you're misunderstanding. I don't think that the short should be part of the universe. I'm just saying if we're going to do another video, maybe we could watch those also.
Yeah.
and also do the ranking. But I
Yeah.
know that they're not part of the universe.
Oh
So
yeah,
if we
yeah,
want
yeah.
to watch the short films,
Yeah, they're not
and
part
then
of the
we can,
ranking itself, but we can use them in
yeah,
the same video. No, I
yeah,
get
to
it.
just say, oh yeah, yeah, we watched the short films and we like the one called The Kitchen, or we like the one called The Bathroom, or whatever it is, and something like that. It's up to you and what you want to do. I don't
Is there
care. I think
is it literally shorts about people's like rooms in their house? Or
I
is that
don't know. I'm
just
making
something
that
you made
stuff up.
up?
It's something that I made up.
Okay. I was like getting worried for a second. I was like, wait, were
Well,
they told to like do the
actually,
balcony, or something? And they had to make a whole
well,
short
that
about that?
that would be a challenge. I actually have them all right here because I plan on watching them. The Conjuring universe shorts. They were all done in 2017, and there's, I want to say, six of them. There's The Nurse, The Confession, What's Wrong with Mom, Blun's Lullaby, Innocent Souls, and then there's another one called The Maiden, which is 2016. Oh, The Maiden is one of the I think one of the directors that actually works on the Conjuring movies.
Oh,
That's his
okay.
short film.
Cool.
So there, yeah. So it's up to you what you want to do. I
Well,
don't care.
check
We
it
want
out.
to watch those, talk about them, and do the ranking, or just do
Now,
the
is the
ranking.
director of this, was his last name Chaves or Chavez?
I think it's like Chavez.
I want to say Chavez, Michael Chavez, but
Yeah.
I think I've heard people call him Michael Chaves before, and I was like, do you not know how to pronounce Chavez, or am I wrong in thinking it's Chavez? Anyway, yeah, so I enjoyed this one a lot more than I was expecting to because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I remembered sort of maybe not really liking it the first time I watched it, and second time I guess it grew on me a little bit, more, and I don't know, maybe after seeing all the other ones, I was just like, it's a lot better,
Like
than
a fungus.
yeah, maybe this is a lot better. I don't know. I enjoyed it, you know. So, once again, I think it's also the fact that you already told me that you like weren't a fan of this one and stuff. So I think I already had like really low expectations. And so when you have really low expectations, sometimes
Yeah.
that helps,
It
you know.
just looks like an X-Files episode. I mean, I could see Mulder taking the sledgehammer and bashing the altar with it, or Mulder possessed, and Scully going, but Mulder, it's me, it's Scully, put down the sledgehammer. I could completely see it.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, John. Next week, I
No,
guess we'll
man, thank you,
well, my
really,
name is
thank you,
John, so kind of
thank you.
works. I did
Yeah,
thank myself too.
yeah.
I thank both of us,
Okay.
so anyway, thank you. And thank you all for watching this. If you stayed to this end, thank you very much. If you watched all the way, because this was once again another long video, but I kind of had a feeling it would be because not just because we go off on tangents all the time, but because this was the final episode of the Conjuring universe ones, I felt like there was going to be a lot more to say.
I watched a lot more videos for this one because, yeah, I had a lot more to say on it.
Yeah, you had a lot more to say on it, and you know, I enjoyed it. So, and I enjoyed our conversation on it. So if you guys want to check it out, you can also check us out on Instagram at Horror Film Lovers. We're also on Facebook, at Horror Film Lovers. So everywhere, just Google Horror Film Lovers, and you will find all of our stuff. We don't have a Twitter on there because Twitter is ridiculous with stuff. So I just don't get me started on that crap. That's a whole nother video I can make on that. But anyway, also check out John, and I'll put a link down to his John at Dark Park Films, stuff. So you can check that out.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
always do. I always do tag because I bet you already always see it pop up as, you've been tagged in this, video or whatever. Also check us out at sickflickproductions.com. That's my website. I'll try to update more. I just haven't haven't updated in a little bit. So sorry about that. And then what is it? What else? Indie Film Cafe stuff. So that was our spinoff from this. Also new episodes of indie of horror film lovers on Indie Film Cafe on the podcast will be coming out in March, and that should be coming up pretty soon to this when this video is released. So there you go. Until then, everybody, join us next week. Well, we'll be doing a rating of the Conjuring universe and talking about the short films of that got made. So that'll be fun. And then I think we got other stuff that we'll be doing. So
There's stuff, but yeah, because then we
yeah.
get into the Insidious films, which we also have to watch. It's basically backwards.
Oh, that's right.
I
Shit,
think
I
it's
forgot it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh God. Okay. Well, damn it. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit about that. But yes, we'll do that. We'll be doing that. All right, thank you everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode and join us next week for a brand new episode. Until then, bye.